So the two methods that I was using for my research method is one, frame analysis, as I explained before, where you're recording a punch perpendicular to where they're punching, and then going through the frames and locating the change in position of the person's fist. So this gives me position and velocity graphs, now which correlates to both of my research objectives, or the first two. One is punch consistency and the other is peak punch velocity. And then the second method that I use is source-generated criteria, where I created a list of criteria for an ideal punch in the discipline that I was studying, and then kind of checked off and added up points for each practitioner that I recorded. So for each research objective, if a belt system perfectly represents the proficiency of a martial artist, then for punch consistency, you would see much more consistent graphs of someone's punch. So for example, if I have two different displacement graphs over here, one being, this would more be like a higher ranking belt, and this would be a lower ranking belt, because these three lines, which each represent one punch from the person, would be much closer together, meaning it's more consistent, whereas something over here is kind of all over the place. The graphs don't really match up. Now for second, the peak punch velocity, this research objective, again, momentum is positively correlated with velocity. So how fast someone punches is going to be related to how strong their punch is. So as you might expect, if a higher ranking belt has a peak punch velocity that's higher than a lower ranking belt, then that kind of plays into the belt system working. And then the last part is punching form. Using the source-generated criteria, the more points someone has for the criteria, the better their form for their punch is. So if a belt system really works and shows differing levels of proficiency, then higher ranking belts would have more punch points or punch criteria points than the lower ranking belts.